The following is a Productions original series.
Hello and welcome to Walk and Roll Live. I'm Doug Vincent, along with Addie Rich. We are a podcast dedicated to giving a voice to the disability community. We do that by having those with a disability on the program to tell their stories, and the organizations that provide program services and support to the community on to share what they do as well. Hello, you got to hear Addie in the background saying hey to people and whatnot. She is coming to us from the airport in Atlanta. Is that right?
Yes, I feel like I'm like doing the newscast.
Yeah, she's
from the Weather Center.
She's the traveler today.
I'm here.
Heading this way.
Yes.
Yeah.
I am heading this way. Maybe we'll get to high five.
How long are you going to be here?
Don't quote me on it, but I think till the 28th of December. So I expect to see your face.
I was going to say.
Were that the case?
All right, I may have to run up there for a day or two. All right, enough of that. Hey, how are you doing? How was your week? Well, first of all, hi, I'm Doug. I'm a polio survivor, crutch and brace user for years, and transitioned into a wheelchair user over the last 20 years. And Addie, what you got?
What you got? I was born with cerebral palsy, and I am a walker and a wheelchair user, transitioning more toward a full-time wheelchair user, begrudgingly. But Doug is making it more comfortable, people. It's okay.
And a former horseback rider, which we're going to get into today.
Yes.
Right,
I'm so excited about this guest. Yes.
So how was your week? You have a good week?
Over faster than I thought it would be because I was trying to get ready for this.
Yeah.
How about you?
Yeah, good week. Trying to think, kind of a routine thing at the pantry. Had a board meeting for one of the organizations that I volunteer for, and that went really well. One of our former guests on the show invited her to be on our board, and she came and spoke, and I think she presented herself very well. Yeah, Miss Rebecca from about, 2-3 months ago now. She may join us, so we'll see how that goes. I did learn that we reached the top 100 on Apple and Spotify podcasts, like end of the year things they do. Yeah.
Look at us go.
I know. Yeah. I get a little discouraged sometimes because I put a lot of heart and soul into this, and you want it to be big. It's like your baby, and you want it to grow and get bigger and stronger, and then sometimes it doesn't do that quite as fast as you'd like to see it. But so that kind of helps refuel the fire.
Slow and steady wins the race.
Exactly.
Slow and steady wins the race.
Keep telling me that. Keep telling me that. So of course, you can imagine my curiosity. I went and listened to some of the others on the list to kind of see what they were up to. I will tell you, and I'm a little apprehensive about having this conversation, but there's a lot of I'm not sure exactly what word to use, or one word would even do it, but there's a lot of talk about the identity and inclusivity and equity and all those things, probably a lot more than what we do. And I'm not judging. I hope I don't get us in trouble here, but do
I need to do a disclaimer? Doug's thoughts are Doug's thoughts.
Yeah.
Right. No, I'm just kidding.
It's just that it's just not in me, just because of my experience and the way I was raised, and it's caused me to think. I'm open-minded. Believe me, I'm open-minded. So as I listen to it, I'm thinking, I'm not saying it's not a good thing. I'm just saying I have to.
It's not your thing. Let's say it that way.
And I'm educating myself to see maybe it could be my thing to incorporate it more. That's all. That's all I'm saying. I'm not saying it's a negative
but like
thing.
We've talked about, we had an interesting life experience because our parents kind of kicked us in the butt and said, "Get out there, we'll clean you up when you're back.
Well, and that's what has led me to think more about. I was wondering this morning. I got to thinking about when I became. I lost my mom early, so that's why I'm going to say I wondered how my dad felt. When I got to be an adult and found a job and left the house and lived on my own. At 18, I got together with my best friend and his girlfriend, and we got a house together. Now my dad wasn't a touchy-feely kind of guy, but I wondered in his mind, did he think I'm proud of my disabled son, or did he say, "Good job, son. I'm proud of you. You're making that next step in life." If you ask me, I don't think he thought in those terms. I don't think it dawned on him that, here my son has reached adulthood, if you will, and he overcame his disability and he's going out into the world.
Yeah.
It never enters my mind. I just don't think this way. And part of that is because, I grew up. And let me interject this as before I go too much further, because I want to make sure this is understood. I am acutely aware of my, what I guess they call these days, privilege.
Yeah.
In my circumstance as a disabled person. If they're, I read an article years ago that kind of outlined the hierarchy of disability, if you will. And, so I was a very mobile person with a disability. I wasn't going to ride a motorcycle or a bike or anything like that. But I walked, with the aid of crutches and braces. I walked and, I drove. I still have conversations with people today. Yourself, you haven't driven, but there are.
Like me. Yeah.
Yeah. But there are people that are wondering. They'll ask me, do you drive? And I quickly find out that the conversation is going that way because they're now an adult person. And so the idea of driving, they just don't know if that's a possibility. Is that they want to do that because that brings independence, but they don't know if it's available for them. And I tell them, yes, there's many different things out there that can help you drive.
Well, and I think like we've talked about before, like the nuances of like for me, because it's depth perception that prevents me from driving and it's reaction time. But at the same time, when you look at me, if I'm up and independently walking or wherever, you think, well, why doesn't she drive?
Yeah.
Well, it's like not a side note, but a tangential reason that I don't drive. That like if you read the generalization on CT, you go, well, she can drive. But no, like because I've been tested and I don't like the answers that would endanger someone else, like I'm making a choice. Yeah, I probably physically could drive, but I can't live with the like percentage that could be a depth perception issue and cause an accident. Like it's just not worth it to me.
Right. Yeah. You're making that personal decision.
Exactly.
Some of the other things as I'm listening to these things, and part of this has nothing to do with disability. I listen to them, and as a podcast producer, in addition to being the host, I do all this, and I won't mention any names because it doesn't really matter. But there's these discussions, and I'm listening to one, and they're talking about, and these are on-air people, or at least they were in this interview. There was the host, and there was 3 other people that all said they were producers of this show. And I've never brought this up. Now we're over 100 episodes. I've never brought this up because it never entered my mind. I'm the producer. I do everything.
Right.
I
don't produce.
I book the show.
I'm just the talking head to talk back to you.
I book the show. I invite the guests. I make sure the guests know how to get on the show.
Honestly, though, don't you think that, okay, this is probably going to come across wrong, but like the sense of like people being titled as younger people now, like they want a title and they don't really know what that means. So it's like, okay, this is going to sound bad, but like when they make an actor an executive producer, because that's like the bonus to them becoming a part of the movie. I'm like, well, what part did you actually produce besides, weren't you an actor in it and you got credit for that, right? Like, so it's like a bonus credit.
Right.
But what does that mean? Like, I'm not going to take bonus credit. I literally need to talk to you on the guest.
That's what I find myself asking is, because they never got into what those responsibilities were, but they had 3 producers, and then so are those volunteer positions? Does this podcast have the income to hire 3 people?
Amazing.
These are just questions I don't have the answer to. I'm sorry, go ahead. What?
But like the closest I could get was emotional support to get a producer.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
I'm taking no other claim except co-host to like sit here and jib-jab. But I would be curious as to what they're using as their criteria of producership.
Yeah. So the other thing, this is where I really got a little upset, because there's a conversation about, which again, I guess we've touched about on a little bit, but haven't like had a whole topic about it. I don't, from my experience and the way I was raised and all that, I just don't know if I can speak to that, with any fluence,
Yeah, I don't know. You might be like getting into old man territory.
Oh, yes. But again, I'm fully aware of that. Yeah, I'm old. I was raised by somebody that was older, and from a different world. Right. All those things. Yes,
we love you.
Aware. But it's but when
that.
Wait, hang on. I'm kind of going down this train of thought. So then we start hearing in this podcast, one of them talking about disabled voices, which I'm not really sure what that means. I guess it's, then I kind of figure out what it means, because they go on to talk about, traditional radio voices that were trained and all of this stuff. And, so they're pointing right at me, and I'm thinking, and then they get to a point where they're saying that they're inauthentic. Well, how dare you? How dare you impugn my opinion or voice, and I'm talking literally or physically, and my disability is inauthentic? I mean, if you're saying that my voice is inauthentic, does that mean my opinion is inauthentic? I never judge. I'm listening to this podcast, never judging them. I mean, because there were obviously voices that were not trained announcers. Sorry, that's what I have. That's what I did. I'm choosing to do a podcast. Sue me. But at no point did I think to them, oh my gosh, they don't have the voice to do a podcast. And that never entered my mind. I'm not throwing any shade at them. And all of a sudden, hey, I'm just minding my own business here, and you're telling me that I'm inauthentic.
But I think that's the new generation of the internet, of where everybody has an internet, like has a keyboard, has internet, and suddenly you don't need like traditionally when we were going to school, you can't call yourself an archaeologist if you didn't study archaeology. I couldn't be an English teacher unless I had my credential.
Yeah.
Right? But now you can kind of like the new generation can term themselves I'm an influencer. Well, what does that mean? And who are you influencing? 2 people or 100,000 people? Like, I was watching a documentary about that actually on Netflix. Well, not specifically about that, but it was about like how Amazon and everything has influenced the shop generation and like how it's mind control.
By now.
Yeah.
Yep.
No, it's just very interesting because like saying the old traditional shopping, you shopped because you were motivated by yourself. You looked for a sale flyer, you purchased or whatever, right? But now Amazon makes you chaotic about you need this now and the deal's over in 3 hours, so I better buy it now.
Well, you could even go back.
Basically how.
You could even go back farther than you were talking. And there used to be a time when you shopped for something you needed. And that was it.
Only.
Yeah.
Only. Yeah. Ask my bank account. I mean, you need to go back to that.
But I don't even think it was dictated by your finances. I mean, that's just the way it was, and in the old, even older than me, you bought one dress to wear on Sunday or go to town. And you know what
Yes,
but
totally.
and you didn't
I
have
think that-
18 different dresses to choose from, or whatever the equivalent for a man is. I'm just saying.
Like compulsion of necessity. Keeping up with the Joneses has become like a entire like
I love this shoe. I'm going to get it in 18 different colors.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
And I can speak from I totally am like, man, they got my number, But it sucks.
I'm guilty too. I tell people all the time, I got a closet with 40 hoodies in it.
Yeah.
And believe me, it would be far more if I didn't stop myself every time.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I understand. Anyway, we're getting off track, but I
know we went off a rabbit hole.
We do that. But so, and hopefully that doesn't stir up a bunch of stuff, but it's, I value all parts of this conversation when it comes to disability. I have no problem with that kind of conversation. I want to make sure the world is accessible. I want to make sure that everybody who is disabled, like we talked about last week with Jose Pena, is that, I want everybody who wants a job that can do a job and that there be no barriers just because somebody thinks you shouldn't have that job because you have a disability. Yes, I'm fighting for all of that. So if I don't use the exact, I don't even know if it's a term anymore, politically correct language, the right language. I mean, because at some point or another, everybody has had some issue with what our community calls ourselves.
Right.
So.
Right. We'll get there.
You
don't like elite. I would love to have the conversation, honestly, not as internet pundits, but as people.
Yes.
As a true round table.
Yes.
Because I feel like if you're not shielding in the internet, then your true opinion comes out. And then let's really talk about it. So I would see this conversation more as a caution to our listeners as to the internet can tell you anything, but it doesn't make it truth. If you truly believe in something, be willing to come to a round table and let's all talk about it.
Yeah.
Let's all figure it out.
Absolutely. And I think that's why, because this isn't a new thought for me, just so you know.
Mm-hmm.
This is something that I've kind of thought about, from time to time. And I feel a little bit on the outside when I listen to those kinds of people having that conversation. But I would love to have that conversation with those very people.
Right.
You say, love to have a round table and have...
Hit up our internet.
I want to educate me. I want to educate me. If I'm totally off base on this, give me another perspective.
Hit up our email and let's do it. Let's make it happen. Let's do it.
Well, go to our website. You know how to find me, how to track me down. So I had a great time at the Possibilities dinner last night.
You did?
Yeah, by the way. Yeah, we had that 21st annual celebration dinner. It had lots of great entertainment, some talented people.
I'm sure they loved all your announcements.
Oh, yeah. You get tired of listening to me, I'm sure. Between me being the MC and doing the voiceover for all the videos, the presentation is like, not this
They're
guy.
Like, dude,
again.
does this guy ever talk? Not talk?
Shut up. But, then we awarded our participant of the year and volunteer of the year. And then they have something called Hall of Heroes, where they highlight one person a year, and they have this nice big picture and plaque and a biography about them that is in the hallways of their what they call East Campus, where all the orthopedic, physical therapy and orthotics and all those things are, in one building, Loma Linda. So great night. Looking forward to it. I've been doing it for somewhere in the neighborhood of 20 years. I've been.
You mean 5 years? We're only 20 years old.
That's right.
Doug.
That's right.
Stop.
That's right. All right. So that's it there. Thank you to Jose Pena with Disability Rights California for coming on and sharing all his knowledge with us here on Walk and Roll Live. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share. And coming up today, we kind of alluded to it a little bit ago. Matt Howells with Tara's Chance. It's an equestrian therapy group, and we're going to learn all about that right after this word from Aguiar Professional Training.
At Ugyar Professional Training, we know that your greatest asset is your team. Investing in their development, knowledge, and happiness is essential for your business's success and growth. To achieve new heights, it's important to hire intelligent, talented individuals and empower them to excel in their areas of strength and passion. Ugyar is committed to transforming your employees into happier, more productive, and fulfilled individuals. When your team thrives, your business prospers. Wise leaders understand that providing team members with opportunities to shine in their strengths unlocks untapped potential. Elevate your team with Ugyar Professional Training and witness the growth of your business.
You're listening to Walk and Roll Live Disability Stories.
Welcome back to Walk and Roll Live. Doug and Addie are here with you. We're excited for our guest to chat about what his passion is today. And we're going to start with a self-introduction. So, Matt, if you would just tell everybody who you are, where you're from, what organization you're from, and your disability status, if there is one, if you care to share.
Thanks, Doug, for inviting me to be here. I am a Southern California native from here, born and raised. I was in the military and moved all over the country and went to school at the University of Michigan, and currently serve as the executive director of Tara's Chance, which is an equestrian therapy center for individuals with disabilities in Fullerton, California. I myself do not have a disability.
Okay. So now, are you the founder, or did you come on as executive director to this organization that already existed?
I came on as executive director in 2020 during the pandemic.
Okay.
At that time, we were working with about 30 individuals with special needs, and we actually were at a position where we could really grow. But we had a part-time executive director who was looking to move on in her life and start her own small business. And so I said, hey, I think I would really like to take on this task. Yeah. And it's been great ever since.
Excellent.
So prior, did you serve in another position to know that she was moving on?
I did not. My parents co-founded Tara's Chance. So that's how I was connected to the organization since it started. I was here when we founded the organization in 2012, and actually worked with our first couple of riders. But shortly after that, I moved away and I was in the military. So it was something that I had always stayed in touch with and connected with while the organization grew. And then I had my own journey as well. Throughout high school, I worked in different programs helping children with special needs, and just found that that was my passion.
Amazing.
Yeah. Well, appreciate your service. Don't want to not mention that. So, we get tied up in the conversation about Tara's Chance, and I want to make sure that we express that. So you've been involved for quite a while in some other capacities. Yeah. So let's start by just letting everybody know exactly what Tara's Chance does. What was the inspiration for founding the organization, and what do you guys hope to accomplish?
So Tara's Chance was founded when our co-founder, Cindy Howells, went and saw a program in Santa Clarita. It's called Carousel Ranch, and witnessed the work and impact that they were having on individuals with disabilities through horses. And she had been an equestrian her entire life and had a stable, and had been working with children on and off the spectrum for many, many years, and said, that's what we want to do. And then through a connection, we were introduced to Bella Davis. She was our very first rider. Bella had type 2 SMA. And
muscular dystrophy.
And at the time, she was 3 years old, very young. And she actually was turned away from a couple of other equine therapy centers who weren't willing to work with her. And we thought that there ought to be a way for us to safely serve this child on a horse. Yeah. And so we started just very small for 20 seconds, put her on the horse. She let us know she was exhausted and tired. And I said, okay. And then next week it was 30 seconds, and the week after 45. And we just kept building. We built a special saddle to support her back, neck, and head. And then eventually she didn't need that saddle. After just a few short years, she's riding 30 minutes all on her own, unassisted, turning around, riding side saddle on the horse, riding backwards on the horse, throwing different balls off the horse.
Wow.
I mean, incredible.
Yeah.
We never
He was
could
like,
have
I'm going to
imagined.
show you guys. Yeah.
And she's a freshman in high school now. She still rides with Tara's Chance. She's absolutely incredible and was the inspiration for us to start. And from there, it got shared by word of mouth within the community. And we slowly started to gain riders from there. We had a wait list about by year 3. And we've had a wait list ever since.
Wow.
Can you tell us a little bit about, because I've over the years have interviewed a number of different organizations like yours that does equestrian therapy. Do we understand the science behind how it works? Or are we able to kind of get data about what's happening and what the help is, other than just kind of physically seeing somebody make those improvements? And
Right. Yes, to answer your questions.
Yeah.
I mean, there's data out there and there's studies that have been done. Now, the impact of equestrian therapy is so broad that you've got to kind of focus on what are the results we're trying to see, right? So with the example I just gave you of Bella, somebody who has a muscular dystrophy, you're going to be looking for more physical benefits, right? And so those studies are showing the physical movement of the horse and how the gait of the horse is creating that walking rhythmic movement that emulates somebody who has the ability to walk, and the physical structure that provides to that individual. So a lot of physical benefits being met from being on the horse. Now, that comes from just riding a horse. But when you add what's called vaulting exercises on top of that, that's riding side saddle, that's riding backwards, that's riding on your knees, standing on the horse, doing all of these other OT and PT exercises on that animal, you're adding in another layer of movements that are creating more dynamic physical benefits. The other benefits that you can see within that physical realm would be that it's fun. And so I have almost all of our students in PT, OT, and speech, right? And they're working for weeks on end in a PT's office. Hey, we want you to do this one specific thing, right, for your hand movements or whatever it is. And one example, we have a student, TNU. He was working for about 2 years to throw something and was getting nowhere. And after a month, when we learned that was the goal at Tara's Chance, we had him throw a beanbag off a horse about 10 feet.
Nice.
Because he wanted to do it. It was fun.
Yeah.
So you can get those medical benefits with that fun element. Cognitively and socially, the horse has an impact as well, right? So for our riders with autism, the horse is creating a stability platform that satisfies so many sensory needs.
Right.
And that's done through when you look at the science of a horse and their heartbeat, actually. So a horse's heartbeat is a lot larger than ours. And so when you're around that, you match that of the horse. And so it calms actually your heart. As prey animals, horses are creating a sphere of anxiety around the herd. And when you step into that herd, that anxiety of the herd is actually taking over your anxiety. And so it helps you to calm and relax. So there are a lot of studies out there in different physical, cognitive, social benefits of equestrian therapy. It was a bit of a long answer.
Yeah. No, that's fine. We're all about getting into the details about these kinds of things.
Are there particular disabilities that you guys focus on? Doug and I talked about before when I was young, long time ago. I grew up on the Central Coast of California, and I rode with a group called Rancho de los Animales, and I have cerebral palsy, if you didn't know that. And so focused on different things, but balance and, staying on horse.
Yeah.
But we also were in charge of caring for the horse that we were kind of assigned and like creating relationships. So kind of how you were saying, like the heartbeat changes and stuff. It's almost like I thought about it like a giant dog, you know, it was my giant dog. Now at 45, I can't remember the name specifically, but I do remember that she was a painted pony and she was really tall. And I was like, why are you putting me on this thing to fall off of? But we had a symbiotic relationship of you trust me, I trust you.
Yep.
It was a big deal.
Exactly. And a horse looks for that. I want to trust you and I want you to be the leader. That's another big thing, right? Dogs don't really care about that. Horses want that person who's going to protect them and take care of them.
Exactly.
And they don't judge. They're just kind and calm.
No, totally. And they know, like, oh, it must be her day. You know, it's almost like I felt like they could
100%.
know the calendar because it was like, how did you know I was coming today? You know?
They know the calendars and our kids know the calendars. They look forward to it every single week. And it's the highlight of the week and they love doing it.
Exactly.
And the horses pick up on that. To your point, I ride, and when I get on a horse, it's like, this guy doesn't know what he's doing. I'm going to try and go left when he's trying to tell me to go
They're
right.
like, let me show this
You
dude.
son of a gun.
Yeah,
But you get somebody with a disability, and the horse wants to be there for that person and support them.
Right.
And so it's a complete different reaction. Yeah.
That's what's fascinating. I think for me, that's always what proved that horses were superiorly like smart because they can read who is walking up to them and be like, okay, well, she's kind of tipsy. I don't want to go too fast. You know?
Right. 100%. They know what's going on. To answer your question though, we don't, we serve over 65 diagnoses, and we have several riders who are undiagnosed. We do serve more riders with autism than any other diagnoses. Cerebral palsy is second, Down syndrome's third. And then after that, it's very small margins across a very broad spectrum.
Now, in my own experience, we always had like I don't know what to call them, but like they would lead the horse just in case things went sideways per se. Because I mean, obviously I did learn to control the horse, but in the beginning, I'm just a girl who they throw on a horse and say, "Hey." Do you also have volunteers that do that, or how does that work?
Yeah, so Terrace Chance uses a combination of staff and volunteers to work with each student. So typically we have about 4 people per student. So I have somebody leading that horse, and I have 2 people on each side, one on each side of that horse. So one is the instructor, knows your diagnosis, what you're trying to work on, and works with you on a consistent basis every single week. And on the other side is a volunteer who's there for support.
Nice.
And then the 4th person is usually interacting in some capacity, like I said, throwing a ball off the horse, playing football with the kids, doing basketball, the activities that we're doing off of the horse.
Yeah, so you guys are like special because we were like the fanciest we got was like right in the parade and not get freaked out by everybody else. We don't do anything. Yeah. Look what I could do as a shrimp.
We're very specialized. We're specialized in the way that Terrace Chance was started to work with Bella, and so we don't turn away any other riders. So we work with some very challenging individuals, and we also are special in that our horses allow us to do those things, right? So your typical horse would not allow a ball to be thrown off of them, or to get hit in the face with a ball, or to have your hair pulled or kick them. So our horses are very, very well trained and work with, and we keep everybody safe, and our training and our safety practices allow that to happen.
Now, are the horses owned by Terrace Chance then? And then you guys are like maintaining them through donations, or how does that work?
Correct. Terrace Chance owns the horses. We actually, through a generous donor, the Murphy Family Foundation, just purchased the property that we're operating on as well. So we own the ranch. And we raise through philanthropy our operating expenses. About 80% of what we expense each year is through philanthropy and through donations.
That's amazing. What about it made your parents say, this is my passion, this is what I want to do? Did they have an experience with a disabled child, or like, how do you come to it? Because I don't think you wake up one day and go like, do this.
Yeah. I think that 12 years ago, when you get the idea and you have the foundation of a company, you don't necessarily know where that company is going to be So I don't think that 12 years ago we thought, oh, well, we're going to be working with 95 individuals every single week. We're going to have 105 people on a waiting list. But I think that the calling to do it was just very, very clearly seeing the impact that it had. And so it was, if we could just help one person through the benefits of equine therapy, then it would be worth it. So that was their calling to start it.
So are there, do you have special needs health professionals that are involved in any kind of maybe creating curriculum or anything like that, or specific exercises for the kids to do?
Yeah, I mean, the list of exercises, I've given you maybe 10 so far. We have about 95, but it's all based on each individual. So everybody gets their own individual plan of what we're going to be working on. Right. And that comes in from mom and dad. Sometimes it comes in from whatever we're working on at PT or OT or speech on how we're going to work with that individual. So our program director puts that together. And a lot of times we'll start, and like with Bella, I mean, where we started and where we ended up, or where we are currently, it's just year over year, just incredible progressions. So just building on that every single week.
And then how do you find the kids and young adults, or how do they find you? How does that work?
Yeah. Like I said, so we have a wait list right now of over 100, and we've had a wait list since about year 2. So they find us. We don't really ever do any marketing to try and get new riders. But it's been word of mouth, just within the specialties community of, hey, this has really worked for me, or this has worked for my son or daughter. And it's a great program. We'd like to get them in. Now with Bella being our first rider and she still rides today, that's the case for a lot of our students. They continue on for a long time. So we don't have a high turnover rate. And so the only way for us to grow and serve more people is to add more spots. Yeah. So that's what we've done. We've tripled in the last 4 years. And with this new donation of us purchasing the land, we're going to develop the land and be able to double again in the next 3 years.
Good,
amazing.
good.
So how do you kind of graduate from the program? Do you age out? Like, how does that?
It's like with your experience, you were doing maybe a little bit more advanced riding. So I'll give you an example of a young man, Val Hepron. He has tuberous sclerosis. And he started when he was 8 years old, and he really had struggles walking. So we were really working on balance, coordination, fine motor skills early on. After riding for about 8 years, Val got to the point where he didn't need those 2 people on the side of him. So he started to take the reins, and he started to learn how to ride independently. And after another year of that, he didn't need that person leading the horse either. So he took the reins all on his own and started steering his horse. Then he started learning groundwork, how to tack up your horse, how to take care of your horse, and started to ride on trail. So he continued to progress. So our students who are able continue to do that. And our students who are going to ride with us forever in the capacity that they can. So there are ways for students to move on. Now, some of our students might move into other things as they get older, and that's totally okay. And they might leave out, but nobody ages out. And even now we've gotten some larger horses in our herd. It used to be an issue with folks getting too heavy. But our weight limit's expanded as well.
Yeah, that was my next question is, like, you have such a big list. Now that you will, through the donation, own the land, will you double your horses? Because if Bella holds onto her horse for 20 years, how do you kind of accommodate,
Yeah, well, so Bella rides Maggie, who was our very first horse, and she's 29 years old. And I was saying Bella rides her, but so do 15 other students.
Gotcha.
So our horses serve, multiple riders, of course. But yes, to answer your question, to double the number of riders, yes, we have to double the number of horses as well, because they can only do so much.
Yeah. And then I would imagine that also means more volunteer opportunities.
Exactly. We need more volunteers. We need to raise more money.
You have to exponentially keep growing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
So where are your needs now? Do you want to start recruiting? I mean, you've got a platform here. If you want to talk about whatever your needs are in different areas, I'm sure beyond horses, there's other volunteer opportunities as well.
Definitely. Yeah. I mean, we need volunteers to be in the program, especially those who have equine experience and know how to be around horses or lead horses, and grow with us as we add new students. We also, with purchasing the land, we're doing a big construction project. So we need donors to support that project, that capital project. And we need folks who are in that community to help Terrace Chance build this thing. So those are our needs going forward. And then eventually horses.
Okay, I'm kind of going off topic, but I think it's relevant, is how do you identify a horse to be like prepared for this kind of work, especially if you don't already own them?
Yeah. I think that that's a separation with Terrace Chance too, right? A lot of programs, it's, hey, a retired jumping horse, a retired somebody's horse. And with us, we go out and we recruit and we try to find the right horse. That could be coming from Oregon. It could be coming from Texas. And we bring that horse in for a 30-day trial where we work with them on desensitized training. That's having balls thrown in their face and tarps put on them and put them in different situations to see how they react. And if it fits, wonderful. Most of the time it doesn't. And we'll have to get another horse.
I mean, like, that's what I was saying, is that of so many horses, there are very few that can be like, let me throw this in your face. Yeah.
Yes.
Do you use a vet, or do you have a particular person that vets them to say, yeah, this is going to be okay, they're not going to throw their rider?
Yeah. I mean, so our program director makes that determination. But yes, we have a veterinary who comes in. I mean, they're essentially just assessing the health of the horse. Because you could have a horse whose mindset is right, but the vet says they have an illness that's not going. You're going to have them for 3 years, and we'd like to have our horses for as long as we can because we put so many training hours into them. For sure, and we have a horse exerciser who works with them every single day as well.
Nice, yeah. Because years ago, when I worked with Rancho de Los Animales, I got thrown during a rodeo. Because they didn't know that the horse was really afraid of flags and like the wind of the flags. So it threw me and I was like, woo, okay, well, thank God, like with my CP, I know how to bounce, but it was kind of that moment where everybody's like, oh God, like, now what? So
you
that's
just
why I'm always curious. So,
you
like,
just
how do you vet
visualized
those?
one of Matt's nightmares right there, I think, judging from his response.
It's crazy because it's not an abnormal situation, to be honest. I mean, I visit a lot of other therapy centers that have that experience where students are thrown, where horses spook, where, hey, these 4 horses are out of the program because now they're scared of this and we got to retrain them. And it's not that it doesn't happen at Terrace Chance. Fingers crossed, right? But that's why we do the training, and that's why we have all of our safety processes.
Kind of goes with the territory, right, Matt? When you're dealing with horses, right?
It goes with horses. Yeah. And so you do everything you can to train and make sure that the horse is the most important safety asset, but then the people around that individual are there as well. And you're not putting that horse in a situation with flags or with balloons or with loud noises.
Exactly. A rodeo, no. My poor painted horse. I didn't know, I'm resilient enough that I was like, roll with it and wave, But the poor horse was like, whoa, no.
Yeah. We have a horse, Ryan, who went to a fundraising event with us last year, which was at the Embassy Suites in Brea. And we took the horse into the ballroom with the permission of Embassy Suites and had him in a ballroom walking around a loud room with music and a bunch of people drinking. And he had a great time.
Yeah, you must have been pretty confident of that horse.
We were pretty sure that Ryan wasn't going to do anything.
Yeah,
now, he's a small pony. He's only 11 hands.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
So I think maybe we mentioned it before, but it's, if we repeat it, there's no problem there. Worth repeating. What are the cost to the participants?
So the cost of the participants is $50 a session for a half an hour ride and $70 for an hour ride. We have been fortunate enough that Some of our clients now have been covered through regional center.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
It's a case-by-case basis right now with our C of OC, but about 25% of our clients are getting funded through regional center.
That's awesome. Very good.
Yeah.
I mean, I literally would rather go to OT on a horse
Mm-hmm.
than
Exactly.
have to go to OT in a little room with a random person. So.
Yeah. And I will say too, Tara's Chance never turns away a family or a rider for financial reasons. So we fundraise to have scholarships to meet families where they're at. And so we've never had anybody leave the program due to financial issues.
Amazing.
Good to know.
Amazing.
Good to know. So how do we get a hold of you? If there's people out there, if I may, chomping at the bit.
Absolutely.
Sorry.
Just go to
Doug.
Nice, Doug. How many of those
yeah.
do you have written?
Oh, no, God. I know you've heard it 1,000 times.
Dad jokes.
Folks can just go to taraschance.org, which is our website. And that has more information on our programs. And we have forms right there on our website to be able to sign up and to get your son or daughter into the program or sign yourself up. And then we also have our donate page on there if people would like to support and contribute.
Nice.
Awesome.
And what kind of fundraisers do y'all typically do that people can participate in?
We do kind of two major events in the year. We do a golf tournament coming up on Cinco de Mayo. And that's a Ryan-only golf tournament in memory of one of our riders who passed away in 2018. And that's at Los Coyotes Country Club in Buena Park. It's a great golf tournament. And then we do our gala, which is called Riding with the Stars every year. It's the first Saturday of October.
Nice.
So October 4th next year. We just had it a couple of months ago. And that's at our facility where our students ride and everybody cheers them on. That's why it's called Riding with the Stars. They're the stars.
Amazing.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
So those are two big events.
So you'll have to remind us as we come closer to those events, so we can rep them. Just
That'd be great.
FYI.
Absolutely.
Side note.
Thank you.
So that we can be like, hey guys, check it out.
So I think you've answered all of our questions. Is there anything that we didn't touch upon that you want to humble brag a little bit about?
Not questions for you, then you're saying?
If you have questions for us.
Right. Please limit your question.
I mean, I guess my question for you guys would be in kind of what I brought up about the regional center and working with Regional Center of Orange County, and then reading that article about how many millions of dollars are going back to the state because they're not being spent.
Yeah.
What, based on the conversation that you guys have had with other people, would you recommend as an avenue to take? Are you seeing any changes in regional center for social rec funding? Anything regional center would do?
Yeah. Not that I can think of outright, but it just, if they're saying that there's money that wasn't spent or wasn't able to be spent, I can't even begin to tell you how wrong that is. I mean, I volunteer for a number of different organizations, and there is no lack of need whatsoever as far as funds. We are always, that's an ongoing, and much like yourselves, we have people that's all they do all day is look for the next grant of, little grants, medium grants, big grants, anything we can find so that we can serve our participants more. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So, I don't understand that at all. If they think we fought for 6 months to try to get a rate hike from the governor of our state, and we got approval, and then they postponed half of it. And, that got to be a whole battle. And so, I don't know.
Yeah.
If it's not their experience, it's not always important to them. And I think just getting as many people as possible to write a letter and advocate and say, look, my child's life has changed, and, be the squeaky wheel, because eventually they're like, this is annoying. We should do something.
Yeah.
That would be my suggestion, as it is, as someone who's kind of been through the system.
Yeah.
Because I'm sure that money that they didn't spend would have helped quite a few kids go to your program alone, let alone all the 100%. Other programs that are out there. Right?
Exactly.
Right. Exactly.
So, and I'm sure you're frustrated at that.
Yeah.
As well,
Yeah,
you
that's
should
definitely a challenge.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't think I have any other brags. I mean, if I've answered all your questions, and I think I've done a decent job.
Mm-hmm.
But I think we covered a lot.
Yeah. Good. And we'll put you up on the website. We have a resource page. So if anybody can't find it on their own, just go to our resource page at walkandrolllive.com and you'll have no problem getting a hold of Tara's Chance. That's what you look for. All right. Thank you, Matt, for taking time out of your schedule to come and be on the program. Appreciate it.
Thank you guys for having me. I really appreciate
Matt,
it.
so nice to meet you.
Yeah.
Very nice to meet you. Safe travels.
Thank you.
Each week on Walk and Roll Live, we share honest and open stories of people living with a disability.
We went after Manuel Noriega. So what happened is, my whole platoon was in front of the hangar. And then, a firefight started, and pretty much just about everybody in my platoon was shot. And that was the end, the end of one chapter and the beginning of another. I was shot twice, one on my back and one in my leg, and I got to the hospital. And you still don't think, this is permanent. But eventually it kind of dawns on you, it dawned on me that this is for the long haul. It's not something that's going to be fixed, anytime soon.
Join us weekly for another powerful episode. Walk and Roll Live, wherever you get your podcasts. Life Limitless. Subscribe now.
This is Walk and Roll Live with Doug Vincent and Eddie Rich.
That was such an awesome conversation about Tara's Chance. I, as me, can attest that it changes who you are as a human. So it's exciting to see that other kids get that chance, and awesome to hear about how they do OT sort of stuff like tossing beanbags and different cool things that I didn't do. Awesome. It's so nice to know that there are other organizations similar to the one that I went through that are helping kids to grow and grow their skill set.
It was nice for me because you had that experience. You had all that knowledge, and I could kind of just sit back and relax this week.
Right.
I loved it.
No problem.
Right on. And let us know if you like to be on the show or have a good idea for a guest. Maybe what we talked about in the opening. You might have some ideas of conversations we could have.
Feedback.
Going forward. Yeah, we would love to hear it. Just call me an idiot if you'd like. I have no problem with that. Antithesis Dinner tonight. They're having one of those fundraisers,
awesome.
Like a lot of restaurants will do, where they have a night between
10% goes back to this or whatever.
Actually, they're at 30%. So between 4 and 8 this evening at Panera's on Moreno Street in Montclair. So just use the promo code FUND for you. If you use their app, you can just use this code FUND for you. So FUND, the number 4, letter U, all one word. And Thesis gets 30% off the proceeds if you go into the restaurant. Just mention.
Good excuse to eat out, people.
Yes, absolutely. All right. Next week we have Ezra Arce. He was coming on a few weeks ago. That was the guest that couldn't make it suddenly, right when we were ready to go
Ezra,
live.
we're ready for you. Please don't get into the hospital again.
Yeah, so he'll be here next week. Thanks for listening. I am your host, Doug Vincent, with Addie Rich from the Agar Professional Training Studio. This has been Walk and Roll Live, Disability Stories. Safe travels, Addie.
Thank you. I was going to say from the Atlanta airport as well. So we'll see you guys from Cali soon.
And don't forget, life limitless.
Walk and Roll Live. Life's the best. Walk and Roll Live. Life limitless. In the realm of tales untold, where every voice finds its hold. Walk and Roll Live with Doug and Eric, where disability stories are vibrant. Walk and Roll Live, let's hear it unfold. Doug hosts his one untold, from triumphs high to struggles low. laughter, tears, and heartfelt sighs, we journey where empathy lies. Each episode a journey embarked, where every listener finds their spark. Walk and roll life, let's hear it unfold. Doug and Derek host their warmth untold, from triumphs high to struggles low. Every story finds its glow, and every word and every beat, the rhythm of resilience, so sweet. Walk and roll life, a symphony of grace, in every tale a sacred space. Walk and roll life, let's hear it unfold. Doug hosts his warmth untold throne, from triumphs high to struggles low. Every story finds its glow, through laughter, tears, and heartfelt sighs, we journey where empathy lies. Each episode a journey embarked, where every listener finds their spoke. Through laughter, tears, and heartfelt sighs, we journey where empathy lies. Each episode a journey embarked, where every listener finds their glow. In every word, in every beat, the rhythm of resilience, so sweet. Walk and roll life, a symphony of grace, in every tale a sacred space. In every word, in every beat, the rhythm of resilience, so sweet. Walk and roll life, a symphony of grace, in every tale a sacred spoke. In every word, in every beat, the rhythm of resilience, so sweet. Walk and roll life, a symphony of grace, in every tale a sacred spoke.